I think I've honestly lost count at this point of how many times I've had to debate people who have told me that Donald Trump is incapable of being tough on Russia. Of course, Donald Trump is capable of being tough on absolutely anybody. The fact is, he does not care what you think of his words. He only cares how you're impacted by his actions. It was a pleasure to join Trace Gallagher, as always, on Fox tonight to discuss. Take a look.
War of words now escalating between the U.S. and Russia, with President Trump saying that Putin is playing with fire, and the deputy chair of Russia's Security Council responding with a subtle threat about World War III.
Putin is and always has been a pirate. He's got blood under his fingernails. He's a butcher of his own people, and he's not going to change his behavior until he's forced to.
Kevin Cork live for us in D.C. with more on Trump losing patience with Putin. Kevin, good evening.
How long has it been, Trace? It's been a minute.
Been a minute.
Great to see you, my friend. Great to be back. President Trump's just about had it, as you point out, with Russian President Vladimir Putin. And it now appears that we're getting even closer to perhaps enacting harsh sanctions on Russia. Writing this on Truth Social, the president said what Vladimir Putin doesn't realize is that if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia. And I mean really bad. He's playing with fire. The president obviously wants an end to the violence and for peace talks to move forward, but so far, Russia's simply not biting. And according to the Wall Street Journal, the White House could place new restrictions on the Kremlin, though they wouldn't necessarily involve new banking sanctions. Russia bombarded Kyiv this weekend with more than 900 missiles and drones over 3 days in what amounted to the largest aerial strike of the war so far. The president said over the weekend he thought Putin had gone crazy. Russia is accusing the president of having, quote, an emotional reaction. Meantime, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov today revealed that a prisoner swap was agreed to amid negotiations, again, to somehow, some way end the war. Also tonight, sources telling the Kyiv Post that President Trump is seriously considering lifting all restrictions on how Ukraine uses weapons on Russia, again, if no progress toward a peace deal is achieved soon. Trace.
Kevin Cork bringing his A game again back in D.C. Kevin, thank you. Meantime, the spokeswoman Elizabeth Pipko and California Republican gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton, welcome to you both. Elizabeth Pipko, to you first, kind of back to our story with Kevin Cork there. Here's General Keith Kellogg on what he means when he says, when Trump says that Putin is playing with fire.
Well, I think the fire he's talking about is the personal relationship, because one thing with President Trump, he really does value, and I really understand when I see him do this, the value of personal relationships, and it's really good about talking to people and working with it.
Because you got to believe, Elizabeth Pipko, if Putin loses Trump altogether, that's a very bad position to be in at this tenure.
It is a bad position, Trace, and I have to tell you, I was watching President Trump's statements the other day, and I thought to myself, where are all the idiots that told me that President Trump would not have it in him to be tough on Putin or to be tough on Russia, right? The fact is, Donald Trump knows when to be kind, and he knows when to be tough, whether we're dealing with friends or adversaries. At this point, I don't know how much confidence we can have in the war coming to an end, but what we can have confidence in is the fact that we have a leader finally in the White House who wants the war to end, who will do whatever he can to make sure it ends, and who also will know when to walk away. And that's what I'm confident in and very excited about.
Yeah, meantime, pivoting back to some domestic policies here.